I'd like to take a couple minutes to talk about the Kearney School Board's goal to achieve targeted accelerated growth for all students, and we'll acronym that TAG growth. It's a lofty goal, but it's also an achievable goal, and I want to talk about not just the goal, but what would it take to achieve that goal. Obviously, it would require a relentless focus on instruction, curriculum, and teacher development. But there are a couple other variables that I'd like to really zoom in on and spend some time talking to you about. What if we had this goal? Is it achievable? Because when we look at goals, we ask the question, could we really do this? And if we could, how would we do that? We could talk about reading and math, but for the purpose of this video, let's just examine reading, because obviously reading predicates success in math. Math today is a reading test, rigorous problem solving, critical thinking. If kids are going to be successful in either content area, literacy is the foundation for that success. So let's just look at reading and think in terms of what would it take to make targeted accelerated growth for all students in reading. Not just students that are behind, but students that need more challenges, need to go farther with their learning. And also students that are learning at grade level. What is grade level? What is accelerated growth? What is catch-up growth? Those are the variables that we're most interested in zooming in on to see, is this goal achievable, to understand it. Let's start by talking about a year of growth. What is a year of growth? Core instruction and reading that yields annual growth. Plus, what is accelerated, or what is catch-up growth? What is moving beyond? What is it based on? What is the most important factor? Well, that factor happens to be time. Students are at different levels of readiness when they come into reading, and time and increasing it really is the central focal point for meeting this goal. So if time is the variable, if time is the critical element that's going to cause success, how do we create more time for targeted accelerated growth? How do we know how much time to create? What do we base it on? We've talked about basing this decision on the STAR annual growth percentile reports that we receive. But the strength of our instruction within that time is also critical. That's why our CSIP goal to develop teachers to be excellent reading teachers is so important. So enough time has to be spent to ensure those students who aren't receiving adequate support at home before they start school or maybe during school is in place, and that high quality reading instruction around the 5 components of reading is ready and waiting for students when they reach school. So time times quality of instruction equals growth, and growth is what we're looking for with this board goal. Growth underlies the goal. Direct instructional time must be proportional to the deficiency or efficiency students have around the sub-skills of reading. What we're talking about is the letters, the sounds of the word, fluency, vocabulary, how are kids comprehending what they read. So those sub-skills, it's not just about time, it's about more direct instruction around the 5 components of reading. And again, I really want to stress, this is what our teacher development is centered on right now at the elementary levels. So let's put this into a metric, a formula. How do we accomplish this goal if it's accomplishable? Well, first we have to know how much time to put in place. And we need a target. The state target, let's say for an incoming second grader, is the 50th percentile. And 13% beyond that equals 1 year of growth. Students in the lowest or highest performing groups have to have more time to be in place to make that 13% of annual growth. Let's look at a student. Let's say Chloe, a second grader, scored in the 12th percentile. She's not going to start at 50% when she reaches 3rd grade. What will it take to get her reading on grade level at 3rd grade? And let's use Dogwood Elementary's 120 back up, 120-minute reading block provided each day for reading class as our baseline. So using this formula for Chloe, assuming the state standard is the 50th percentile, that's where she needs to start at 3rd grade. But her 2nd grade status was, let's say she was reading at the 12th percentile. If we subtract 12 from the 50th percentile, she needs to make up 38 percentile points just to be on target to make that 13% that we talked about earlier of annual growth. 13 divided by 38 means she is 2 years, 9 months behind in reading. Let's say 3 years. So let's go a little farther with this. If she's going to receive 120 minutes of reading instruction each day, yet she's 3 years behind, and we multiply that out, 3 times 120 is 360. She needs 480 minutes of reading instruction a day just to reach the 50th percentile goal, starting point, if you will. So you might ask, is this goal crazy? Is it achievable, really? Not if we start early. About 20% of children will arrive as kindergartners with only 3 years of language, their first few years of life. They enter kindergarten with the skills of a 3-year-old. Other children make 5 to 8, many more years of growth in reading their first 5 years. They enter kindergarten with skills typical of a 5, 6, 7, even 8-year-olds. 100% of the achievement gap in reading originates at home before the first day of kindergarten. Let's take a look at a chart that puts this in perspective. It sort of depicts the TAG growth continuum. So devising a catch-up program has to start in kindergarten and continue through the 12th grade. But as you can see, it's a reactive strategy with students once you reach a certain point. If we go back to Chloe, making 480 minutes up for Chloe before 3rd grade is very difficult when we have roughly 275 minutes of instruction per day at the elementary level. The goal is, it really is achievable if we increase the percentage of students reading at grade level each year, starting in kindergarten through 3rd grade. We increase the percentage of students' proficiency in math, number sense specifically, and shapes before 3rd grade. So if time is the variable, yes, this is a good goal. Will we see the successes of this goal overnight? No. In some cases, it could take 11 years, this year's incoming kindergarten class. In other cases, we will have success with students through intervention times, other things that we put in place. This next slide actually shows each of the 4 components that have to be in place for us to be successful. First, diagnosis. We need data. The STAR test tells us where students start, their benchmark, if you will, for their TAG intervention. Direct instructional time has to be increased. More for those that's behind, a lot more for those that are way behind. Additional time for those that are ahead. Quality instruction in small fluid groups must be in place. And most importantly, we have to keep checking back with progress monitoring assessments throughout the year. How are we doing? Those checkpoints are critical for guiding high quality instruction. So what if the school board conceived, let's go back to our original question, the goal that 100% of our students would achieve targeted accelerated growth. We would have to have a very clear plan for how additional time would be built into the schedule for students who are behind, how additional time would be built into the schedule for students that need to move further in their learning. But most importantly, we would need to continue to focus on high quality direct reading instruction and math instruction for those students. It is achievable, but it will require some rethinking of our structures and how we teach students and how we think about reading in terms of the reading block and intervention times. It's a terrific goal. It's admirable that we have this goal, and our principals are ready to meet this goal, and I know our teachers are also, and we have fantastic students. So thank you for leading us towards this goal.